What if I told you that the strongest people in your life, the ones who smile the brightest, laugh the loudest, and walk the tallest, are often the ones carrying the heaviest battles in silence? What if the person you admire the most is actually fighting a war you've never seen, in moments you'll never know, with wounds they never show? We think we know people because we see their highlights, but what if the real story, the real struggle, the real transformation is happening in the dark, behind closed doors, in quiet moments when no one is clapping? What if the side nobody knows is the side that defines them the most? The side built from heartbreak, doubt, fear, resilience, and courage. And what if, just for a moment, you looked beyond the masks, beyond the filters, beyond the surface, and truly saw the human being underneath? Because that's where the truth lives. That's where the growth happens. That's where the magic begins. Stay with me, because what I'm about to share may just change the way you see yourself and everyone around you forever. What if I told you that the person sitting next to you, smiling, laughing, looking perfectly composed, is quietly fighting a battle that could break most of us? What if I told you that the confidence you admire, the success you envy, and the happiness you see are often built on nights filled with tears, thoughts that spiral endlessly, and moments when giving up seemed easier than holding on? The truth is, every smile hides a story, every laugh conceals pain, and every "I'm fine" masks the chaos within. We are living in a world obsessed with appearances, obsessed with social media highlights, obsessed with showing perfection while hiding imperfection. But the reality is far messier, far more human, and far more courageous than anyone sees. Imagine carrying a storm inside your chest, pretending it's sunshine, laughing as if nothing weighs you down, all while your mind screams for relief. That's the reality for so many people. And yet the world applauds the surface, the shiny, the curated, without ever noticing the hidden hours spent in struggle. Think about the person you look up to, the one who seems to have it all together. Chances are they've wrestled with self-doubt, fear, and despair that never made the headlines, never made the Instagram stories, never even touched a soul outside their own. And here's what makes it even more shocking. Some of these people never show a hint of their battle. They become masters of disguise, convincing even themselves that vulnerability is weakness. But here's the paradox. The very battles they fight are what make them extraordinary. The nights they've endured, the tears they've shed, the inner monsters they've confronted quietly, all of it fuels resilience, empathy, and strength that the world will never fully understand. And maybe the most astonishing part is that we all have our hidden sides too. Every person you pass on the street, every colleague, friend, or family member carries a hidden weight, a side nobody knows, a story unspoken. Imagine if we treated everyone with the awareness that behind every smile lies a fight unseen, behind every laugh lies a wound unhealed, and behind every "I'm fine" lies a heart quietly bleeding. What if I told you that most of the people around you are living a life that isn't really theirs? What if the confident, put-together person you see every day is actually wearing a mask so perfect that even they sometimes forget what's underneath? We spend so much of our lives trying to be what the world expects, molding ourselves into shapes that fit other people's comfort zones, hiding the parts of us that feel too raw, too broken, or too vulnerable. Think about it. How many times have you laughed when you wanted to cry, stayed silent when you needed to scream, or pretended to be strong when every fiber of your being felt like it was shattering? That's the mask. The mask of perfection, the mask of control, the mask that says, "I have it all together," while everything inside is quietly collapsing. And here's what's shocking. These masks aren't just for the outside world, they're often for ourselves too. We convince ourselves that if we show weakness, if we reveal who we really are, we'll be judged, rejected, or abandoned. So we hide. We hide our fears, our failures, our insecurities, our true desires. And in the process, we start to lose touch with ourselves, mistaking the mask for our identity. Imagine walking around every day pretending to be someone you're not, speaking words that aren't yours, laughing at moments that don't feel genuine, and loving in ways that aren't fully honest. That's the invisible weight most people carry, the pressure to perform, to impress, to meet expectations. And yet, nobody talks about it, nobody sees it. The irony is that the mask that protects us also traps us. It keeps us from connection, from intimacy, from freedom. It isolates us, makes us lonely in a crowd, and teaches us to fear our own truth. And here's the most powerful part. The moment we dare to remove the mask, the moment we allow someone to see the side of us that is unpolished, vulnerable, and real, we don't just find freedom, we discover that authenticity is magnetic, that truth is powerful, and that the side nobody knows has the capacity to transform our lives in ways the mask never could. What if I told you that the moments you think nobody notices are the ones that define you the most? What if I told you that while the world celebrates grand achievements, promotions, awards, and milestones, the quiet, invisible moments, the ones you spend alone, are what truly shape your character, your strength, and your destiny? Think about the nights you stayed awake worrying about what to do next, the tears that fell silently when no one was watching, the tiny acts of kindness you offered and nobody thanked you for, the little victories over your own fear that no one applauded. These small moments feel insignificant, but they carry a power that can change your life forever. Imagine the courage it takes to confront a thought that terrifies you, to stand up for yourself in silence, or to forgive someone who hurt you while no one knew. These aren't moments that make headlines, but they are the moments that build resilience, empathy, and strength. And here's the shocking truth. Most people spend their lives chasing recognition, validation, and applause, never realizing that the real transformation happens in the shadows, in the spaces between the spotlight. The person who smiles effortlessly in public may have spent countless nights battling doubt in private. The leader who inspires thousands may have had moments of despair that never saw the light of day. The friend who always gives love may have had to teach themselves self-love first. All of this happens quietly, invisibly, and yet it is profoundly powerful. Small moments shape our habits, our mindset, and our ability to endure life's storms. They are the hidden gears turning in the engine of who we become. And maybe the most shocking part is that we often overlook our own small victories. We forget that getting out of bed on a day you wanted to quit, choosing patience instead of anger, or taking one brave step toward your dream, these are monumental acts of courage. The side nobody sees is built in these small moments, stitched together like invisible threads that hold the fabric of your life together stronger than any public accolade, more impactful than any applause, and infinitely more meaningful than the world could ever know. What if I told you that everything you think you know about the people around you could be completely wrong? What if I told you that the judgments you make in a split second, the assumptions you form in a glance, and the labels you assign without knowing the story are not just inaccurate but potentially cruel? The reality is that people live lives far more complicated than what you see on the surface. The friend who always seems happy may be silently battling depression. The colleague who appears arrogant may be struggling with self-doubt so deep that it keeps them awake at night. The person you think is lucky, successful, or blessed may have spent years climbing out of darkness, facing obstacles that would break most of us. And yet, we judge. We judge because it's easier to categorize someone than to pause and empathize. We judge because seeing the full truth, the raw, messy reality, is uncomfortable. We judge because we forget that every person has a side nobody knows. The shocking part is that our judgments don't just affect others, they shape us. They blind us to the humanity behind the facade, the courage behind the struggle, and the resilience behind the pain. We mistake what is visible for the entirety of reality, when in truth, it's only a fraction of the story. Imagine if every time you thought someone was weak, selfish, or careless, you paused and asked, what if I don't know their story? What if you realized that the person who angered you, disappointed you, or frightened you might be fighting battles so profound that even their own reflection frightens them? Judgment creates distance, isolation, and misunderstanding, while awareness creates connection, compassion, and perspective. The world we see is a shadow of the reality we don't, and the side nobody knows holds the depth, struggle, and truth that the surface can never reveal. And the most shocking revelation is that the more we understand that our assumptions are often wrong, the more we realize that empathy is not just an act of kindness, it's a revolutionary way to experience life. The reality hidden behind appearances is far richer, far deeper, and far more human than we ever imagined, and learning to see beyond judgment is the key to unlocking the beauty of the side nobody knows. What if I told you that the reason most relationships fail, most connections feel shallow, and most hearts feel lonely is not because people are unkind, but because they refuse to see the side nobody knows? What if I told you that the simple act of truly understanding someone's hidden struggles could change their life and yours forever? Empathy is more than feeling sorry for someone. It's the radical courage to step into their world, to walk silently through the pain, fear, and insecurities that they hide from everyone else. Imagine realizing that the confident person you envy, the person who always seems to have it together, actually battles demons in silence every single day. Imagine seeing beyond their mask and recognizing the sleepless nights, the failures, the quiet acts of bravery that nobody else applauds. That awareness, it's shocking because it makes you understand how small and insignificant your judgments are compared to the battles people are fighting silently. And here's the thing. When you give empathy, you give more than understanding, you give freedom. You give someone permission to exist fully, to be vulnerable without fear, to reveal the part of themselves that the world told them to hide. Empathy is the bridge between isolation and connection, between judgment and understanding, between loneliness and love. The side nobody knows is where humanity truly lives. Every hidden tear, every unspoken fear, every private struggle is a reminder that no one is as perfect as they appear. And when you realize this, something shifts inside you. You start to listen differently, to see differently, to care differently. You start treating people not as their masks, not as the surface they show the world, but as souls fighting battles you might never understand. That's the power of empathy. It turns ordinary encounters into profound connections, shallow conversations into transformative experiences, and fleeting interactions into lasting impact. The shocking truth is that the world doesn't lack success, talent, or intelligence. It lacks people willing to see the invisible, to understand the side nobody knows, and to respond not with judgment, but with compassion. And when we embrace empathy fully, we don't just change the world around us, we awaken the world within us, discovering a depth of humanity we never knew existed. What if I told you that the version of yourself you've been hiding, the raw, unfiltered, imperfect one, is actually the most powerful version you'll ever be? What if the part of you that you think is too strange, too broken, too emotional, too sensitive, too complicated is the exact part the world needs to see? We spend our whole lives trying to be accepted, admired, and understood, yet we often hide the very thing that makes us real. We wear masks so heavy that we forget what our own face feels like. We silence our truth so often that eventually our own voice becomes a whisper we can barely recognize. The shocking truth is that authenticity terrifies people, not just others, but ourselves, because being real means being seen. And being seen means risking judgment, rejection, misunderstanding. But here's what nobody tells you. Being fake costs far more. It costs your peace, your identity, your freedom. Imagine living every day editing your personality, adjusting your words, shrinking your emotions, and shaping your dreams just to fit into someone else's expectations. Imagine hiding your pain because you don't want to burden others, hiding your passion because it feels too big, hiding your heart because the world told you it was too soft. That's not protection, that's self-abandonment. And yet we do it because we fear that if we show our real selves, people might leave. But what if the real tragedy is that by hiding who we truly are, we're the ones leaving ourselves? The moment you reveal your authentic self, something extraordinary happens. You stop attracting people who love your mask and start attracting people who love your soul. You stop walking through life as a shadow and start showing up as a force. You stop pretending to be strong and start discovering real strength, the kind that comes from vulnerability, truth, and courage. And the most shocking part is that the side nobody knows is often the side people will love the most once they finally see it. Your scars tell your story, your flaws make you human, your truth makes you powerful. Authenticity isn't about being perfect, it's about being honest. And when you finally reveal the real you, you don't just free yourself, you give others permission to be real too. And that is how lives change. In the end, the side that nobody knows isn't a weakness. It's your silent strength, your untold story, your hidden masterpiece. It's the collection of struggles that shaped you, the masks you learned to remove, the small moments that rebuilt you, the judgments you rose above, the empathy you learned to give, and the authenticity you finally dared to reveal. Life becomes extraordinary the moment you stop hiding and start living with truth, awareness, and compassion, because the real magic doesn't happen in the spotlight. It happens in the shadows, in the unseen battles, in the quiet transformations that turn ordinary people into extraordinary souls. And when you embrace the side nobody knows, You don't just discover who you truly are, you discover the power to rise, to evolve, and to inspire others to do the same. Good luck on your journey toward living boldly, loving deeply, and showing the world the real you. Thank you for your time, your presence, and your courage to look deeper into yourself. May you walk forward with clarity, strength, and a heart unafraid to shine.